Welcome to another edition of Inside Livingston. I'm Mayor Michael Vieira, and on behalf of the entire Township of Livingston, we want to wish you happy holidays. And what a better place to wish you happy holidays is our very famous Camuso display. And you know, a lot of people don't know what the Camuso display is and how it got here and the history behind it. But with today's edition, you'll learn all of that. And with me today is our head Camuso elf, also one of our volunteer firefighters, Tom Cooney. You met Tom in another edition of Inside Livingston. And with me also is the architect, the artist of the Camuso display, Yu Mahan. Many of you may know you as an art teacher at Livingston High School. So this is your dream, I guess. So can you give us a little history about what happened? I know it goes back to, I remember when I was living in Orange as a child, and the only thing I knew about Livingston was that my aunt and uncle lived in Livingston, and there was a house decorated that we came up to every single year, which ended up being the Camuso house. I didn't know that until I moved up here and learned about the history. But I know that, can you give us a little bit of history about the Camuso display, the Camuso house, and how we ended up here?
So Mr. Camuso started amassing a collection of animated characters from store window displays in the 60s and 70s. Some of the characters that we have actually appeared in movies, Christmas movies.
The same pressing elf appears in A Christmas Story. You know, when Ralphie pushes his face against the window and he sees the display behind the glass, they're the same. There's some elves of that same pressing, that same vintage in this display.
So, and what you'll see, and it's amazing because I'm not only the mayor, I'm actually a Camuso elf too.
Yes,
so
you are.
I help the committee, and there's a lot of people on the committee that we have to thank, and we will thank them. But the characters are so old that you can tell.
Very old.
But with you, and I learned this from you, is it doesn't make a difference because once the lights shine on it and the color paint, nobody sees the age of these.
They don't see the little things. It's like good makeup.
It really, and I learned that from you.
Well, I taught Tom. What is this?
This is theater. Stationary theater.
Yes.
Yeah, let's we can take a walk through here. But so Tom, what was the history of the Camuso besides this being on Mr. Camuso's front lawn?
So he would set it up on the lawn, mostly with the characters. We have the original characters, but we've also added a number of new ones. When we inherited the entire collection from the family after his passing, it was old at that time, and it was in disrepair. It was essentially a pile of body parts, wires and motors, many that didn't work. So we set out, probably, we're not even done yet. This is our 13th season here. And we haven't completely restored all of them. We're about 35%, I think, are completely restored.
And you went long and far to find these motors.
Yes, they have to be the exact specification as the original because nothing else will fit. The linkage that moves the body parts wouldn't work with another motor. So we have to track those down. We did find a gentleman in Brooklyn who works on a lot of the houses in Dyker Heights, providing motors there, and he orders them in bulk, which allows us to piggyback, and we get them from him, and that's how we replace them.
And the ones we can't replace, Tommy takes the other ones apart and makes Franken motors.
Yes, we have never thrown out one of the old motors.
Okay.
Because there are only maybe 7 or 8 components to each motor, and sometimes you can just take apart 5 that don't work and make one that does.
So these characters here sat on Mr. Camuso's front lawn?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
These, SpongeBob, all of these
The
skaters, the snowman, all of the carolers in front of the house when we get over there.
So the
biggest vestige,
yes.
the biggest vestige of remains of Ernie's display are underneath the reindeer. If you look real carefully, you see an angle on the legs. That angle was the pitch of Ernie's roof.
Okay.
And that's why it's like that. And we just kept.
So they were mounted on the top of his house using the same exact brackets that you see right there.
Oh, wow.
The reason we built the ramp was to get them off the ground and make it look like they're taking off.
Right, to allude to the fact that he could get them on the roof,
Yes.
but there's no way we're getting them there.
Because, you know, a couple days ago, I asked you, I said to you, I says, did we actually take his front door? Because when we move over to the little display of the Camuso house, it's exactly what his front door looked like.
Yes, it's
The paint color and everything.
Yes, we tried to duplicate that. It is not his original front door, but it sure looks that way.
So I guess, I know that former Mayor Steve Santola was very active in getting the Camuso display donated to Livingston. I think the only things that we did not take were the religious items.
Yes, those are still at the Knights of Columbus. They set it up each year. In fact, they've approached us within the last couple days. They want us to help them restore them because they're in pretty rough shape.
Well, they saw what you did here. It's
yes.
Well, let's call this a Christmas miracle.
Well,
but this is the Camuso, and it looks exactly like the Camuso, Mr. Camuso's front door.
Yeah.
Except there's another nod. There's another nod to Christmas Story. If you looked in the right-hand side window, there is a replica of the leg lamp.
I saw that. Yeah. Oh, I know about that. But actually, and I think I saw a picture that this display right here with the carolers, that was actually in front of his door.
That was in front of the house. We built the set in sections. It comes apart. There's probably about 5 or 6 large pieces that bolt together, and it's reusable every year.
And all of these are move. A lot of these are moving. Once the lights go on,
all of these guys move.
All of these move. They have been partially restored. There's a couple that are totally restored. 2024, now that we've completed most of our wiring and infrastructure issues, so we've tackled all of that, we plan on focusing on the stars of the show, who are the characters.
It's the year of the character.
The 2024 in our workshop upstairs will be nonstop total restoration of entire scenes of characters.
Now, up until, I guess it was last year or the year before, you know, time goes by, you know, all of these characters were in a rotting and rusty trailer.
Yes, they were.
and we
2 trailers.
2 trailers, and we would drag them through the mud sometimes
Yes.
to bring them over here. And a couple years ago, we ended up putting up the
Yes, we worked with
the Camuso shed barn.
Well, the barn not only allows us the storage of everything you see here, it also allowed us to have a workshop upstairs to work on the characters throughout the year. And we incorporated the barn into the display by turning it into a gingerbread house.
Yep.
So it serves multiple purposes.
So, and you bring up a very good point, because you know what, even though this is out for the holiday season, I guess between early December to January 1st, this is almost a 12-month run. You know, after they get put to bed for the winter and the spring and the summer, and they come out, but they're being worked on all year round.
I'm sure there's a mark on Tom's ceiling in his bedroom from him staring at it.
Yeah, because during the year the motors do blow. I know that the night of the opening we had a motor blow.
Yes, so we've ordered a new one. I'm hoping it arrives tomorrow, so by Saturday that character will be moving again. The work that takes place throughout the year, before we pack up, we will test all the characters, make an assessment of which ones we're going to tackle first. But Hugh and I have already talked about it. We know that we're going to do entire scenes so that all of the characters are 100% restored. And then we'll move to another scene, to another scene, to another scene. And it might take a couple more years, but
that brings into your expertise, because I hear your mind moving. And,
Me too.
And I know that you have ideas of you know, turning around those mountains. I know that had to have been in your mind somewhere for a couple of years.
Yeah, the mountains, we always wanted to have the penguins, who are so much fun, have a backdrop that's, you know, just as much fun. And just letting them stand there, I mean, as beautiful as Town Hall is, and they're, in their scene behind them, it didn't exactly show their best side. So we decided to invest in a mountain range.
And was that your idea with the ice cubes being made out of the plastic
That
boxes?
happened. I don't know whose idea that was.
We were originally in the loading dock at Pathmark on Eisenhower Parkway, where Aldi is now.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for a couple of years, which is where we built all of the shops.
Because we had
And
space.
We had space. And we used to park our trailer there right up against the loading dock door, so we had access to it all year. And those blocks were used in the
The seafood,
yeah,
wasn't
seafood.
it?
It was, they brought in
seafood
frozen
department.
fish in them.
And they told us that they were going to be discarding all of them into the dumpster. So we decided to make ice cubes out of them, and Hugh painted them, and they pretty much look like ice cubes.
It's amazing, though, the details that you go through with the toy shop and the wrapping shop, and just having that out there.
We have a dedicated elf who's not only an incredible seamstress, because she makes and fixes all the costumes, but she does the staging of this. And
I know this is her
she's
area.
Wild, yeah, she's wildly passionate about putting out the toys and having kids find them, because they have that toy at home.
Yep.
So
No, but I know that she gets excited once we put the houses out and once the toys are about ready to be set.
Yep.
The only thing that I don't want to do, I do not like doing lights on trees. And I said that to Tom. I'm like, it's the only job I don't want to do.
Yeah, we found plenty of other things for you to do.
Oh yeah.
But
the shops all come apart and they stack like library books. That's how they're designed. So they don't get put away like that. They're all in different sections.
Well, the barn is a big game of Tetris.
yeah, so this is about 7 pieces.
Yeah.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think the
top bar.
one is
Yep.
Right.
7
And then the
pieces.
electrical panel.
And then the electrical panel on the back.
Yeah.
Which visitors don't see. They hardly see any wiring. Once the lights are on, you can hardly see any of this wiring.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's all by design, which has taken us for probably the last 10 years to perfect. So what we
we've
did
gotten this
was
far.
we had assistance from Kiwanis. They bought us a large spool of wire. And we proceeded in the shop to build electrical boxes, lines that can go from one area to another area to another area, because they're all pretty much low voltage.
So let me show our viewers the secret of what these little Christmas boxes look like. They're actually the outlets.
Yes. So
All the outlets.
the purpose of the box is to keep the rain off of the electrical system. And there are holes in the bottom. It's raised off the ground. Sometimes rain will get in there, but it'll go right out the bottom. And that's to prevent breakers from tripping, which the first couple years we just put extension cords all over, and we had someone standing at the breaker panel because every 5 minutes another one, maybe every 4 minutes.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Especially after the rain that we have been getting.
So the one new addition this year is the First Aid Squad.
Yes.
2 new additions.
Two new additions.
Come over here and you can see.
Yep.
So we had a fire department already, as you know, and we also have a number of first aiders who help us out on the committee. So we got them a first aid building. So now they have their own building. They have an EMT elf and an ambulance.
So do you want to tell our viewers what the 343 is?
343 is the number of firefighters killed in the World Trade Center. So that's a remembrance to them.
Yeah. So we got and then the other addition is your poinsettia farm.
Yeah, this is our poinsettia garden, and because where else would Santa get poinsettias? We need them.
Yep.
So these guys are hard at work growing the flowers and planting the holly and the poinsettia.
And Sandra helped in repurposing one of the original elves into Farmer Gray jeans there, and that's why this scene really works well.
So once the Camuso display is taken down, everything gets put into the
barn.
into the barn, and everything gets lined up, and then I guess over throughout the year, you'll actually make some repairs, a little bit of paint jobs.
Yes. So the things that we know need repair, we'll keep to the side or store in one of our sheds on the side so we have access to it. Once everything is packed, it's very difficult to get to because we use every inch of the building.
Well, you would think that it's a big building, but
this is a big display.
Once everything is in there, there's hardly any room to walk.
You can hardly walk downstairs. I mean, there's a pathway, obviously, to
Even
get
upstairs
to the stairs.
too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Even
upstairs
it's
is pretty tight, but we do use the truss voids upstairs to store most of the characters. And then we have wall panels that go over so we can work in the shop and they're not covered in dust.
So let's talk about the centerpiece of the Camuso display. I don't think it's the original tree.
Yes, it is.
Well, no, I don't mean that, but I think the branches were redone,
yes,
weren't
the
they?
branches were completely rebuilt. The motor was rebuilt. All of the electrical was replaced.
But it looks like the exact tree on this property, pretty much.
Well,
So-
Tom went to incredible lengths to find the company who made the garland. But of course, they didn't make the garland anymore. They had to send out to
China.
Yeah.
So the company was National Tree in Cranford. They are no longer in business, but at the time, they went through their records and the owner contacted his father in Florida, and he made the original garland for Ernie Camuso when he built the tree back in the late 60s.
Wow.
So the wire had gotten so rusted and so many pieces had broken off that it didn't look much like a tree anymore. So we set out to set up our shop to build all new branches.
Now, when was this? So did we put the display the tree when we first got it?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. As the branches were done, it took about 3 years to get them done. So we took measurements of every piece of garland on every branch, all 90 of them. And we took aluminum collars. We set up 2 drill presses in our shop, and we fabricated the branches to the exact specs that Ernie Camuso
So there's
had.
90 branches.
90
That's gonna be one
branches.
of the trivia questions. How many branches are there? I didn't
90
know that.
branches. The top ones are about 10 inches long, and the bottom ones are almost 6 feet.
I know, because when we take them out, we have to actually put them in piles because there's numbers on each one.
Yes, each one is numbered. And the flanges go all the way up the center of the aluminum pole. There are electrical boxes every 8 to 10 inches.
But understand the magic. The tree rotates.
Yes.
Well, how does the electricity rotate? You know, I mean, if your tree rotated, somebody would have to follow it, plug it in every time it came around. The motor and the brushes under there are just like an
Yes,
engineer in the
and
piece of
he,
tree.
Ernie Camuso built the motor himself in his machine shop. It still functions exactly as he intended. We did rebuild it. We've replaced the brushes and the wiring, and
Can we make it any lighter?
no.
I picked
The
that.
answer is
yes.
No.
It and the frame of the tree itself takes about 7 of us to
Yes.
move it out of
Yes.
the barn.
Yes, that's if there's a yearly picture of anything, it's the elves underneath the main trunk of the tree.
And you had to put everybody in height order because
Yeah.
there was one year where I was standing next to Tim Foley, and Tim is like gigantic, and I'm like this.
Yeah, you're trying to push
after
them.
we have to put everybody in height order.
Yeah. But we do have a lift that was provided to us by Fide Plumbing. We keep it here, and they use it if they need it. But this is an older one, and we use that lift to lift the pole up, put it into the motor. Then we have to cable it down so it can't go anywhere.
It used to be like raising a mast without that.
Yeah, it's very
So
difficult. but-
it's amazing because I'm sure that people come here and they don't realize all of the work and the detail that goes into making them smile.
Yes. Well, the fencing we built ourselves. These are 9-foot posts that we cut, and we set up a special jig to use a router to make the openings for the rails, and then we built bases for them. So
I will tell you, the last 2 years putting them together, because it hasn't been cold, they went into the ground very easy because they're staked. There's 4 stakes in each
staked.
one. However, in a couple of weeks when we start taking it down, when the ground is frozen,
Yeah, we pray
that's
for
not fun.
that January thaw. Is what
So
we do.
So Tom, that was one of your new additions a couple of years
yes.
ago, was the abominable snowman.
Yes, so he was built from scratch with chicken wire and a rubber wrap and then completely fiberglassed. He has a motor inside, his head turns on a pivot, and it rides on rollers so that there's no weight on the motor. The motor is just turning his head.
That's not something that you bought, this is something that you designed?
Oh yeah,
From
yeah.
scratch. That's scratch.
From scratch. And,
it's amazing.
And Hugh took care of the face and the hands and the design. It was not easy finding white fur to attach to him, but we did find it. And
Where do you find dentures like that?
exactly, you make them. Mr. Mahan made those dentures. So this year we did also add the picket fence around the outside, which really enhances the entire site. We had rails similar to these, but a little bit higher. But this really hides everything, so it's like a little
I just
city
found
now.
an original picture of one of our first years when we had the wire stakes that you put snow fencing on, and we had lights strung from fence post to fence post.
Yes.
That was our guide.
Yeah, that was
Scary.
Now, what was the character that you said was in the movie?
Oh, those are the bearded elves
guys
in
over
the
there.
build shop.
Okay.
Are the ones that are similar to the Christmas Story elves.
Okay. And our penguins right here, they all, most of them all move?
they all
yeah.
move.
They all move.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've all gotten new motors.
Yep, and they've all got jobs to do.
Yes. Important jobs.
Actually, a new change this year is we used to use the gazebo a little bit more for hot chocolate.
Yes, so we've opted to leave the gazebo for our events when we have the kids in there with Santa Claus, or when we do crafts or cookies with the kids, or the high school chorus. We can turn the lights on and they can sing in there. So we're doing the hot chocolate off the porch on the barn, which was just a minor fence adjustment, really. But that allows us to have all the supplies inside the barn and work back and forth to the table without coming all the way out to bring everything to the gazebo.
And during the days of Camuso, we also have the lighting of the menorah.
Yes, so the lighting of the menorah was scheduled for Sunday night, but the forecast is for heavy, heavy rain. So we spoke to the rabbis today, and we're going to do it on Tuesday night.
Well, Tuesday doesn't mean anything to our viewers, actually, because they may be seeing this after Tuesday.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah.
every year there's a
every year there's a lighting,
Yes.
and there's a very good crowd. We have hot chocolate and cookies that night as well.
Why don't you talk about the stockings that we see also? I know that it's a little fundraiser for the Camuso display to help
Yes.
offset some of the costs.
So what happened was, the year that we built all of the wooden snowflakes you see in the trees back there, the excess, when we cut out the blades of the snowflakes, the excess that fell on the floor, someone said to our artist friend here, "Wow, that looks kind of like a penguin." He then took a paintbrush and turned it into a penguin. So as we made more snowflakes, he kept painting more penguins. And then we decided that if we sell them for $20, we can put them in a display with someone's name on it. And he was the mastermind of that.
Every year now we've had the chance to change, the symbol. And since we found Dan,
Yes, we have a new elf, Dan Birnbaum, who does woodworking with a CNC machine in his shop. So he cuts them out for us, which makes...
we used to cut
Makes
them
it-
out by hand,
Yeah, we
and
used to do it
sand the
by hand.
edges. And
And every year there's usually a different design. I know that
Yes.
the year that the Camuso shed became available.
Yes, we had
you had a gingerbread
We
house.
had a gingerbread house. We've had snowmen, gingerbread men,
trees, dreidels,
Christmas trees, dreidels, and what was the other one? Santa hats last year. This
Snowmen.
year, snowmen. We've had, this year it's stockings, obviously.
It's amazing, but looking at these characters, how old they are, but again, with you, with the lighting and the effects and everything, you know what, you can't even tell.
Yeah, they look a little different during the day, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. They always look a little different during the day.
And
But once those
the
footlights
general
go
public
off,
usually doesn't get in here during the day, so they really don't see
No.
how antique they are. They really are antiques.
They are antiques.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
They really are.
absolutely.
We're trying to make them modern, but it's not easy.
Yeah, we're trying to make hold their antique flavor, but make them modern so they stand up to what we're asking them to do.
So
which
every
is,
every
tough.
restoration, like Hugh just mentioned, our goal is to approach it as a historic restoration. It's not, we're not going to just go to Home Depot and buy characters. We're going to fix these and make it feel as though when you're walking through that you're at the Camuso house in 1975.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the Camuso display is mostly the Camusos. I know you add a couple things every year to make it new, but this clearly is the Camuso display. And I love behind us, the Snoopy. That was you. That was you.
Yes.
Well, those were him too. That's a whole other story.
Well,
So that's made of plastic.
plastic. That was made on a 3D printer.
Yes,
Not by me. I don't 3D print
I
anything.
remember. It's a 3D printer.
I had a conversation with someone at a car dealership I happened to be at, and I told him about the display, and he said, "Oh, I'd love to make something for you." So I had already thought about how we were going to incorporate Snoopy and Woodstock into the display. So he made that in 4 or 5 different pieces. We glued it together. Hugh painted it, and here we are. We have Snoopy's plane, Woodstock, and his tree, and his doghouse. That's how these things happen, Hugh.
Well, you make them happen because
No, Hugh helps make them happen.
that's it.
So I know that I know it was done last year. I'm not sure if it's done this year, but the kids are given a list of items to find. Did we do that this year?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there is a scavenger hunt where
It's a scavenger
they're
hunt.
asked to find Quincy, who's a friend of the people at the
North
edge of
Pole.
the North Pole there at the edge of the South Pole, and
Ernie, the elf on the
Ernie,
shelf.
The elf on the shelf. Our elf on the shelf is named after.
I know my
Ernie
edition
Camuso.
was years ago the owl.
Yes.
That was the take from the Rockefeller tree.
Right, Rocky.
The baby owl in the
Rockefeller Center
tree.
had an owl in their tree that arrived inadvertently. We put an owl in our tree, not to be outdone. And yeah, Mike showed up with the owl.
So, on a dry day, not a rainy day, a dry day, what time does the display open and what time does it close? And then how long is it open till the end of the year, I guess?
Well, we try to get it on early enough where people with young kids can get here. We advertise we open at 5, but we're usually open a little before then. And then we stay open till about 9 on weeknights, and then on the weekends,
Yeah, we go to
10.
10 or, again, it's a place we have a game we play. The elves have a game they play where no matter what time it is, we're always watching the oval. And if a car comes in, we watch it all the way around. Even if there's no one here, and if they turn on Madonna Drive and the time is right, then maybe we'll turn off the lights.
never.
But we never shut off the lights or the music when there's somebody who might come.
And this is all volunteer again.
Oh yeah,
Your elves are all volunteers.
yeah. Well, we get them coffee and pizza and sandwiches. It's a-
If you feed them, they will work.
yeah,
Yes.
we give them all the candy canes they can eat. Fortunately, they keep coming.
Yes.
The Ninja Turtles, you got the Grinch up there, you even have Barney.
Yes.
My son came by and he's like, "Dad, do you know that there's a bottle of Coke in Barney's mouth?" I'm like, "Yeah, you want to keep it there."
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's little things here that
there's
people
fun
don't
to be
see.
had.
Some they see, some they don't. We have
I love the way you incorporated the gingerbread house.
so just to have a storage barn wouldn't really help us with the display itself, but by converting it to part of the display, it enhances the entire scene because we can bring it all the way back. And it works actually very well. Those are plywood cutouts to look like icing, and wired on them are plastic ball pit balls and frisbees and PVC pipe.
Lots of PVC.
You need to have an artist help with.
Yes. So, well, that's the unique part of me and Hugh. I can build, I'm confident I can build just about anything we could dream up. But I can't make it look like we want it to, but he can. So sometimes he thinks I'm nuts, and other times I think he's nuts.
We all think you're both nuts. But that's the partnership between you two. And I know that in your mind you have probably another couple of years worth of additions. And
we are.
I know that.
It's metamorphic no matter what. Tom shows up with more crazy. I mean,
I get crazy ideas.
Yeah, he gets the crazy ideas, and
then he makes them happen.
Yeah,
we could do that.
Yeah.
So if you took an art school and an engineering vocational school, and you had them collide at full speed, you get the Camuso display.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, I know that I gave you a heart attack this year when I wanted to put handicap sidewalks around the gazebo so people in wheelchairs could actually come and get close to the band. And actually the sidewalk was going to come right through the middle here. Until I showed you the plans, and you're like, no, we need to.
And then I grabbed my chest and said, you can't possibly do that, because then we wouldn't be able to get the wires over there.
And I said, no, we'll put the wires under the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No. We came with a compromise. And,
yes.
But now it works out, the sidewalk works out great.
It actually really works out because handicap access is important.
Yeah, it takes them all the way up into the gazebo with walkers.
And it actually helps us too, because when we're moving things around on the outside or taking things down on the perimeter, we can now use that sidewalk with the gator and the little trailer we have and take the fencing right to the sheds without going in the mud. So
it's good too for people in wheelchairs and
it's perfect access
devices, because they could not, especially walking on the
the chips. I mean, DPW does an amazing job with these wood chips.
And they pack down after a while, but it's always a little like a walk.
Yeah, you're still not going to get a wheelchair.
It's like a walk at the beach.
It would be difficult for a wheelchair, but
it's great that they can get very close.
Yeah, so they can get in, and actually with the access to the gazebo itself, anyone in a wheelchair or a walker, if they can make it to the gazebo, they can see the entire display from there.
So that's very good.
So it worked out. I mean, it's a lot of work by a lot of people, but it also brings a lot of joy to a lot of other people, which is why we do it.
And I know that the Camuso family is very happy that we're continuing our tradition.
Yeah.
I think his great-grandchildren this year actually.
Actually, three of the great-grandchildren, Olivia, Panos, and Theo, actually did the ceremonial lighting for us. Which was tremendous.
And I will tell you that this year, I've never seen crowds like that. This entire display was packed with people.
Yes.
I'm talking shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
it was actually very, very crowded until about 9 or 9:15 that night, I think, because a number of people realized that every year there's a log jam getting in after the ceremonial lighting. And this year, a whole bunch of people waited to come until a little bit later. So it was actually packed shoulder to shoulder for hours.
Yeah.
We've never seen that many people.
Because I was out there, and when I saw the line went right out to the street. I said, you know what, I'm going to cut through the door.
Yeah. You're an elf.
Yeah, you've got elf privileges. Yeah. And we were sending people. The Force Homestead had an open house that night as well, so we could send people down there, and they had a really good showing.
Yeah, they decorate for Christmas, and so
at the end of the night, I came in, and the last family who was in the Force Homestead, one of the volunteers, I wish I could remember her name, but she was in full colonial garb, and she was reading The Night Before Christmas to these two children sitting there. It was like, it was just wonderful.
So I'm happy that Livingston can actually bring Ernie Camuso's. I don't want to say dream, because it was his front yard to our backyard.
Yes, it was his passion, that's for sure.
Yeah. It was, and I hope Livingston residents can come out and visit the Camuso display. It takes a lot of manpower and woman power to put this together, and we do it out of love. We really do.
Absolutely. Think about the people who take the little things out and they put it on the mantle every year. And they know this one came from grandma and this one came from someone else. Anybody who decorates for a holiday knows that it has tradition. That's really what this is. This is a
And
tradition.
we actually get a lot of visitors from outside of Livingston.
Oh, absolutely.
I know one family that comes
Most
from
of
the
them,
shore
yeah.
up here every single year just to
People
take a
come in
look.
from Clifton. People come in from all over the place. Tom's association with the guy from who works with Diker Heights.
Yes.
People come in.
We've had a lot of people from, actually after during COVID, we were featured on NBC News one night, and we had people as far as Long Island and Pennsylvania driving here just to see the display, which is, that's quite a trek.
So today you saw a behind the scenes unlit version of the Camuso display, but it will be lit up very, very soon. But I just want to thank both of you, your entire team of elves, because without you, you put so many smiles on so many people's faces during the holiday season. On behalf of the entire town, we just want to wish you all happy holidays and a healthy new year. I want to thank all of the Camuso elves for putting smiles on people's faces during this holiday season here at the Camuso holiday display. To all of our viewers, happy holidays.